above everything.
Greater than their continued survival. That's it.
How do they come to the conclusion that that's something that they choose to be greater than the survival?
Well, that's a good
is
question.
actually greater?
Well,
What sense does that make? I don't see a lot of sense in it.
Well, it's from their own mind. It's their own judgment. It's something that you won't understand unless you come to that conclusion yourself.
So you would prefer if all of mankind stopped existing to maintain their ideology, to maintain their freedom, instead of, for example, being enslaved by an alien race. You would prefer mankind to be erased.
It's an interesting example, and I would say that existence at the cost of self-respect is not worth it. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes it's not and sometimes it is. That's what I would tell you. The existence of mankind is a very big existence. Like, if you exterminate one people, all of mankind still exists. It's horrible, it's terrible, but all of mankind still exists. For example, if everybody but one city in Africa gets killed, everybody but that one city, mankind still exists.
We're assuming value in existence.
Because there is value in existence.
What?
For me, that's the ultimate purpose, the existence of life. The existence of mankind, for me, is less important than the existence of life. And yet, if I had a choice between all living beings on Earth and only humans to survive and prosper, I would always choose humans.
Why?
Because human existence is much more valuable than any other
but
existence.
Why?
Okay, why? Because we are the way of this universe to self-perceive itself.
Possibly, but we don't know. We don't know if consciousness exists in other forms. It may well do, but you could say, well, we know that our consciousness seems to exist, and you put a value judgment on that because of its self-awareness.
I put more of a value judgment in power. Mankind has a power to keep itself existing and killing all other living beings on the universe, for example. Of course, if I had the choice, I wouldn't do it. Because messing with the environment, messing with the ecological system is something that humans are not very good at yet. You know, Mao Zedong, for example, he tried messing with nature. He tried killing all the sparrows.
All the communists do.
Well, yeah, kind of.
They try to bend reality to their will.
To their will, exactly.
And that's
the problem.
The hard part.
To bend reality to your ideology. That is the problem. That's playing God. And I think that's, in a sense, what you're doing.
Not at all.
You are giving more importance to your ideology and your beliefs and your principles than to existence itself, to life.
When it only affects yourself and it's about your own self-sacrifice, then I don't see the problem, mate.
Only yourself. Yeah. Only you as a being.
Oh yes, that's
so not the whole people, not the whole mankind.
Well, because you can't get a whole group of people to actually believe the same thing. It doesn't work.
You can, roughly. Like roughly,
you
not
don't know,
exactly.
You don't know what they actually think. Everyone has a different take on many things. So I'm just talking about the individual values. The values that you hold, if you're willing to sacrifice for them, I hold that in high regard. And you hold existence at all costs higher?
Again, not at all costs.
Well, what would be the caveat?
If mankind is being tortured to death in a very excruciating way, well, in that case, maybe it's better to just erase it. If there's like 0.0000001% of possibility of mankind to exist.
Have you heard of the book? It's I haven't read it, but I've read criticism of it, as in like literary criticism. I have no mouth, but I must scream.
Yes.
Have you read it?
I've heard. I didn't read it, but I've heard.
I don't have a terrifying idea. Terrifying. A malevolent AI. But what I did get from the end of it, the analysis that I read, is that you had a guy sacrifice himself for the other remaining humanity by killing them, getting them out of the infinite torture by this machine. And he was turned into some gelatinous blob and tortured for eternity.
Yeah, it was like a game. It was a game.
It's a terrifying idea. Well, I don't know if it's a game.
And he was being tortured for all eternity. Well, every single sense he would feel would be multiplied.
Because of his sacrifice that he allowed. He helped the other three to be killed, so the AI couldn't torture them. So that type of sacrifice there. Yeah. That's a good example, but of course
I don't know if I would take that.
Well, that's supreme moral courage right there. Yeah.
Well, yes, but now let me throw something at you. You probably will find this pretty ridiculous, but imagine that actually the others don't exist. The only one that exists is you. And you are a player in the game of life that will wake up when you die.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Well, it's solipsism. Yeah, I've imagined it many times.
Well,
Yeah.
it's possible.
Of course, it's possible.
Are you completely omitting that possibility
No.
for sacrificing yourself for an ideal?
No, but I don't know. I wouldn't have too much conflict in that. I would go with my ideals rather than the possibility of solipsism being true.
But why? The ideals of each person are malleable. That we are shaped by the world that's around them.
Yeah,
That's around us.
yeah,
You know
but
what
we're
I mean?
not controlled by it. Shaped,
To
yeah.
a certain extent, we are being controlled. If you grab your own will and try to, take it away from the tide, from the flow, you try to choose your own way of going. It might be against the flow, it might be with the flow. If you make that choice, then you separate yourself, in a sense. At least in a sense, not completely, but somewhat.
Maybe we can branch out here, because like we were talking about earlier with the attributes that you would want a group of, or people, individuals to have about self-determination
Yep.
and not being pulled around by corrupt ideologies that say they're always victims of everything.
Yep.
So that's something that I think we would both agree on, is that having more agency, having more self-control is a positive thing. It allows you to direct your
It is very
destiny,
positive,
so to
yes.
speak.
It is very positive.
So if there's something that I would say that's worth moving against, is against ways of thinking that want to make everybody trapped like as a victim, you know?
Look, Will, I think one important question to you, in face of this idea you have, is what do you think happens after death?
I have no idea.
You have no idea.
No.
You would risk everything you have.
Sounding like a Muslim, bro.
Just no.
I'm giving up that jinn now.
I don't think. No, listen. I don't think I'm sounding like a Muslim. I think I'm sounding very different.
Alright, I'll let you finish.
You would give up everything you
funny,
have for the possibility of sacrificing yourself for your ideal, not even knowing what happens after you die.
It's going on the idea that you don't know.
Which means you might keep suffering for a very long time and then die and stop existing, and you were just suffering for something you put in your head.
But the fact that you don't know is not relevant there. Like
For me, it is very relevant.
But then
if there is an
how
afterlife,
how could you be secure or safe in taking any action if there is an afterlife? If there's possibly heaven and hell, you'd be terrified to make any action. You'd have to attach yourself to a doctrine.
well, if there is an afterlife, then there is really no need of sacrificing yourself for anything. You just die, you get a clean sheet, a new life.
Well, that's
a
your
new
idea.
existence.
That's your idea of what an afterlife might be. But there's ideas of
possibility.
heaven and hell and reincarnation.
Of course.
So who knows? You don't know which one it would be.
Yes.
If any.
Yes. But look, assuming a specific case of heaven and hell is a fool's errand. It's one thing is
specific
to
is
one-
foolish. Yes.
No, listen. One thing is to win the lottery. Another thing is to guess which heaven and hell are the real ones.
That's what I'm saying to you.
But
This
listen,
is
each
my argument
religion
to
has
you.
their own heaven and hell, and each religion has ramifications. Which means if one religion is the real one and the only real one, it means only a specific ramification of that religion is the real one and the only real
I
one.
know.
Which means all the other members of that religion who slightly deviate from it go to hell. Simple
right.
as that. But, I mean, even if that's the case, why would you sacrifice yourself for an ideal?
Because you know that you can assume that what's happening now is happening. You can assume reasonably that this is happening, this existence is in progress, and the things you do right now have
In some way, yes.
have much more than thinking about an afterlife. Because you can see the consequences of your actions in real time.
Yes.
So therefore, if you make a sacrifice in real time, you might be able to assume the consequence much more reasonably than God will reward me or punish me. So that's my line of argumentation on that. You can see it here, so it's worthwhile to do it here. You know, it's the idea of making the world better, not waiting for a heaven. You know, it's that simple idea. But when we say make the world better, that's obviously highly contentious and up for a huge debate. What would be better? It's real difficult to say. Is each person having their own ability to choose everything without outside imposition, is that more valuable? Or should you give covert imposition to guide people along a path that you think is more valuable? You know, it's a huge problem.
Well, if my
Like we mentioned
ideology
before.
is not to sacrifice myself for my ideology, then it means I'm living for my ideology just as you are living for yours. If I chose that ideology, which means your ideology has no more value than mine. Because I made the same choice, I made a different choice than you did, in face of the same problem that you are facing.
Yeah, but
So where is the biggest value, the bigger value in your choice?
It's individual. All of our value structures are individual.
Okay. So it means that you suffering your whole life for your ideals and me not suffering my whole life for my own ideals has the same value.
Quite possibly. But if I'm choosing to do it willingly, then that's good for me. You understand?
I understand.
Like, only externally, you might think it be retarded, but for me, maybe it generates meaning. You know, like people
William,
going...
what's
Yeah.
the argument, sorry? The
Oh,
discussion about...
we're discussing about, I think, value structures now. Because
Yeah.
I was about to say people
Then
that
I
go...
can call you a tyrant, not him.
Why me?
He sacrificed and you ruled with your power. And
Well,
you did what you
he's
did.
living for an absolute ideal. I'm not.
Potentially.
I'm not going to force any people
No,
for
but
my
in
absolute
history, we call
ideal.
people like you tyrants.
Why
and
me?
people like him, we make the statues and we
No,
gave...
sometimes
No, we do.
they made
Yeah.
statues
No,
of
you're
Stalin. They made statues of Hitler. A statue doesn't make one not a tyrant.
No, I'm talking about the one who sacrificed, not the one who killed.
What makes you think that he won't kill?
He sacrificed a lot.
So he can sacrifice people for his ideal.
Yeah.
Sacrificing people and sacrificing his desires are two different things.
Yes, they
Well,
are.
I'd say everybody makes their
But
own
the
ideals.
ideal
Everybody has
is
their own
similar.
values.
The sacrifice, the risk of taking that sacrifice
it
is
can't
on
be- it
itself
can't be 100%
closer to
if
the
you're honest,
ideology
no.
of a tyrant.
No, I get you, but when in history and mankind or in societies and communities and family, when a man sacrifices desire, we call them scholars or bravehearts
What
or
makes
whatever.
you think that
but
your
when
desire-
a man sacrifices people, we call them tyrants.
No, what makes you not see your desire for self-sacrifice as another desire?
Well, it is a desire.
It is a desire.
No.
Your desire to commit the self-sacrifice,
Yeah.
to sacrifice the desire of your id,
Yeah.
the desire of your superego, of being a Muslim, of being a person who follows a certain kind of rules.
So
That's
you call it
superego.
ego. I don't call it ego.
That's superego, not ego, superego. According to Sigmund Freud, superego is the idea of society. It's the rules that you follow, that you choose to follow to exist in a society. So basically, you're sacrificing the desire of your id for to follow the desire of your superego. So your ego chooses the superego instead of the id. What makes that choice more reasonable than choosing the
You call
id?
it superego. I call it humbleness.
Okay, Mo,
But then are you
it's
are you arguing from the
you're
position of a
focusing on the word
position
ego.
Well, you mentioned it. I didn't.
Okay, fair enough.
Is it talking about
you know
concepts
Sigmund
that you-
Freud. You
you're
know
both
Sigmund
going
Freud,
I think he was a right a psychologist.
more or less. Yeah. But anyway, look,
Like,
Will, I have something to say about this. I think
Alright.
the main thing about your argument is that it's not practical. Not very practical.
Not practical how?
Not practical in life. You might think that you can take all the pain in the world, all the suffering, all the abuse for your ideology. But there is a breaking point to every single human being. We are limited, we are finite. Our pain receptors are not infinite. We can't just slap, slap our hands or how do you call this? Like what Thanos did? Clicking, yeah. Just went out of my head.
Anyway,
Just to
Pavlov.
click your fingers and to decide to not feel pain in the name of your ideology. So I don't think you could go through it to the very end.
No, I'm
Simply don't think so.
simply saying that self-sacrifice, and that doesn't mean sacrificing your life, by the way. There's many other ways of that manifesting itself. But self-sacrifice, I hold to be of higher value than abject selfishness. That's, for example.
Abject selfishness.
Yeah.
What do you call abject selfishness?
Well,
Would
let's
you call
say-
my ideology abject selfishness?
I don't know what your ideology is.
No, at least the things I gave you, the hints I gave you about my ideology. What would you call it? Abject
I don't know.
selfishness.
I don't know. So, what was I going to say? For fuck's sake. Yeah, psychopathic behaviour is about gratifying your own desires without consideration of the effect on others. So, I don't think that's something to be encouraged. So
Of course not.
So to say, yeah. Even if you go down the lines of preserving society, helping it grow, psychopathic behaviour is antithetical towards its progress.
what you mean.
So we're going to agree on that one.
Yeah, we do agree about that because it's an extreme. The extreme of choosing yourself over all the others.
So let's make it controversial. What do you think about belief systems, like moral belief systems, like say from religions? What do you think about the value of having those within a society, even if the person imposing it knows that who doesn't know, but is pretty sure that it's not true. Like you build a narrative about a story that imposes moral value because you see you see how it advances, but you know it's not true. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a tricky one.
For me, it's not very tricky.
No, so what's...
I would go with the lie.
You would go with the lie?
Yes. I would go with the lie, because the lie would be beneficial to many people. You see, if you demolish religion all around Earth, people will lose their way. People won't know which way to go. Crime will skyrocket. Everything will go to shit. I'm telling you, it will happen if religion ceases to exist. Now,
Well, it has
if you
ceased to exist
if
here.
you slowly shift the way religion is going, you can make it so religion becomes a better tool for the control of mankind. Do you understand?
I didn't hear it, the last part.
Again, if you destroy religion, everything will go to shit. Because even though you're destroying an order that is not always correct, that order that sometimes has injustices, some of those small injustices prevent bigger injustices from happening. Religion didn't just exist because it's a matter of evolution. Religious states, religious civilizations outlived and outperformed non-religious civilizations. Exactly. So if you erase religion, it will all go to shit. You need to live that lie.
Doesn't necessarily need to be a religious system. It could be a moral structure,
ideology.
Another ideology, a value system that's not based in the supernatural.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Although I'm not sure how that would work. I think that's tricky because that's kind of the communist idea. You end up making the state
Not
God.
really. The communist idea is very different. It's to completely erase. No, it's very different. Trust me.
All right, we want to
It's
talk
very
about the idea. We want to talk about what
communist-
actually happened. What happened is they elevated the state to God.
I know.
So that's what I'm saying.
No, listen, Will. The communist idea completely erased religion to change it for something very similar to religion.
So it's the same thing.
The people won't notice that it's the same thing because the people see divinity in religion. The people won't immediately see divinity in a dictator. It takes a lot of time to condition people into seeing it that way, like with the Egyptians, with the pharaohs. The pharaohs were their gods on earth. And most monarchs and emperors in the world were at least representatives of their gods, or the high priest, like in the ancient Sumer, in the ancient Sumerians, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time to condition people into a specific kind of belief. Just erasing a belief and replacing it with another very similar one won't help, because people won't see the similarities.
All right, so let's just bring it back. So what's your opposition? Do you have an opposition towards Islam and Christianity, for example? Because it kind of goes against that, you know. If you take it as a lie and it imposes moral value that eliminates higher suffering, then maybe you should support it.
It is a lie in the absolute sense, but human beings are not absolute. It's a lie that if you believe in a lie, you will go to heaven, and that's a certainty. It's not a certainty. It's just a risk that you are willing to take.
Yeah, but
it
it's
is.
So my question. You're answering a question I didn't ask.
I'm going to answer your question.
Okay.
I promise. I know your question. Now let's go to your question. Is it a lie that Islam will help people to organize themselves in a society?
I'm asking a more general one. I'm saying, for example, let's take the UK. Do you think the UK would be better being a religious state? That's probably what I'm saying.
Well, in a sense, it already is a religious state.
You understand what I'm asking you?
I understand what you're asking.
Yeah,
I don't think it will be
the
better.
imposition of... You don't?
No.
But does that not go against what you said when
No, it doesn't.
you said
Absolutely
that the living that you would choose the lie?
Listen, Will. A religious state has many facets. A religious state can be ISIS. A religious state can be America. A religious state can be Russia. A religious state can be any state, really. You see, even though officially the only countries in the world that have, that officially follow their holy book as their book of law are some countries in the Middle East, officially. But unofficially, many countries around the world have their ideology and their rules based on their religions, like the USA. Like In God We Trust, which is written in the $1 bill, if I'm not mistaken. It's a very, very powerful quote. They are very much based on their religion, and they come from their religion in a lot of things to make up their rules. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, my point here is, I don't want to create religious states. Nothing like that. I want to shape the influence that religions are having nowadays in certain countries. For example, in England, there's an influence that Christianity has. Protestants, they still have a big influence. if you shape that influence in a specific way, it might be more beneficial to the people than another way that it might go. And if Great Britain, converts to Islam, I think it's not beneficial at all, because it's basically lots of steps back. Like, you erase all the rules that you've created, all the rules that you've accumulated throughout the ages of governing this country with with their necessities, with their specific, needs, and you just erase it for the name of the promise of the real truth. Just the promise, not likely at all. Just the promise of truth, and you just erase all kind of reason. You just erase it to get some kind of a new law.
So reason
That's what I'm against.
Reason's more valuable.
Well, the reason of governance, the understanding of that governance, the benefits a people has from that governance is what's the most valuable in a society, for me. If a country is well ruled, it doesn't really matter how many lies their rulers are telling the people. As Louis VI said, he who cannot dissimulate cannot reign. And that was the French king who completely reversed most of the English conquests in France. Mostly not with warfare, but with deception, with manipulation of the certain counts, of the nobles, with marriages, stuff like that. He was a very intelligent guy. I'm very sad that people don't know more about him. But then again, he was a liar, and yet he ruled very well. He who cannot master the use of the mask can never rule. Human society, in a great extent, is based on lies.
Is it worth ruling? You know what I mean? Like, to go a bit deeper. Because it seems to be corruption inherent, but rather than the idea of that ruling yourself, self-mastery is the ultimate goal, because that's where all the real conflict comes from. I was having this discussion with a friend of mine earlier, a couple of days ago, and it's a real tricky one, man. When you see people trying to go out and change the world, they're trying to make it maybe in their image. They're trying to shape it into what they think should be the case.
Always.
Yeah. So I was having this idea, it's quite a simple idea, just a thought experiment. If you had one person existing on the earth, nothing else, just nature and this one person, what conflict would exist? For me, the only conflict that would exist would be man's rebelliousness against nature, against becoming aware, and then the suffering that is inherent within our life and death and process. But you would have no conflict. You wouldn't have ideologies, you wouldn't have belief systems, you wouldn't have anything going on.
Sorry, you kind of lost me there. So if only one person exists...
Yeah, I'm not just, like I said, it's a thought experiment. I'm trying to find the origin of conflict. The origin of conflict is the imposition of my will upon you.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, yes it is. It's where conflict's coming from.
Conflict doesn't necessarily have to do with will. Conflict is life.
You're splitting hairs. I'm saying.
I'm not splitting hairs. Conflict simply is not what you perceive it as. Conflict is life itself. The struggle, strife against unexistence.
I just covered that. I said if there was one person, they would have the struggle against nature.
Doesn't matter. Not against nature. Against inexistence.
Well, that's part of
against
nature.
Nothingness.
Nature is all that exists.
No, it's not. Life is the opposition of unexistence. Do you know what I mean?
You're objecting to me only in terms. Like when I say nature, I mean existence. So then therefore we agree.
So the person is not opposed to nature. The person is opposed to inexistence.
Or the struggle that existing engenders.
Yes, we're always in opposition to each other in nature. But the main struggle, the one struggle that matters, is the struggle between life and death. That is the main struggle. For me, that's the only struggle that matters.
But there's more to it. For example, is the will, the wanting to change the external to the internal's preference. That.
Okay.
When you see mass movements of any type, but you could take the feminist movement, you could take the SJWs, you could take the radical right, you could take the ethno-nationalists, you could take all of this. They're trying to take from
pretty similar to each other, actually.
Right. You're trying to take here and make it there. You're trying to change everybody to you or to where you want them to be.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying is the origin of this conflict, and it's
of this conflict. Exactly. This specific.
The one that's relevant to human societies and political discussions and moral discussions. Yeah.
Well, okay. You could say that. Okay. Fair enough.
So that's what's interesting
Fair
to me.
enough.
It's
That's not the
exploring
only
this.
conflict.
That's what I'm exploring. I'm exploring this idea recently, and it's a real tricky one. Because like I said, mastering the self rather than wanting to change the external is the goal. Like that's the higher goal, man. It's like, why do I want something to change? Why do I think this is wrong? Why do I want people to stop eating meat? Is it just because I'm a virtuous person, or is it because there's some inner conflict within me or some prejudice within me? The answer is probably the second one, you know? And that's
because of some inner conflict.
Yeah. It's because of some sort of... It's far easier to tell somebody else to change than to recognize that maybe you have a problem and you might need to address that. And that's where I'm at, you know?
I think I know how to answer it.
Well, there isn't a question, but...
It is a question. It's a very big question.
All right, okay.
Will, again, the conflict is the very nature of life, because life is different. And existence is all the same. If you pick a molecule of a desert and you pick a molecule in an ocean, it's the same molecule. It's just that the order of the molecule is a bit different.
Yeah.
And existence has no difference. Life has all the difference that there is. And thus life fights against itself and against inexistence. For me, that's the main... again, the main conflict. But the conflict you're talking about is the conflict between different life. And that is something inevitable. Difference always breeds conflict. Even the smallest of difference breeds at least some conflict. And by conflict, I don't mean necessarily, a punch out or a war or a discussion. It might be just a little bit of inconsistency.
But you know what's even more interesting is that having how do you say that? When everything's the same, homogeneity?
Homogeneity?
Yeah, what's the fucking noun
homogeneous.
of that?
Homogeneous.
Well, we use the adjective, right.
Homogeneity, let's call it that.
Having
Probably it's not the word.
Society. Well,
yeah, but how do you call
what's the noun?
Do you say homogeneity or
sounds good.
Homogeneity?
I've never heard
Anyway.
it. Anyway, well, looks
People
like we need to get a fucking dictionary. So, anyway, right, doesn't matter. The interesting thing is that when things are similar, when you see things being the same.
Oh.
Hey, man.
Drug takers,
Sorry.
When you see things being the same, this can cause distress, this can cause conflict as well. When you see too many things being equivalent or equal, without a division, without a separation, it's maybe impossible to draw value, right?
In you.
Well, not to draw value anywhere. To make a distinction between what you think is better, what you think is worse, there needs to be difference. So reality needs to manifest differences in order to create value, and I'm making a bit of philosophy on that. I'm trying to write it down. It's really difficult.
Exactly. You came to a very good point now. That difference is life, and that value is life. That's why life has value.
I think it's what life can generate that gives it value. Not just
life automatically generates difference. It's just something inherent to life.
But but how should that difference be oh god, it's so difficult, the vocabulary doesn't work.
I understand.
Doesn't push forward, because I'm asking what's the meaning of life. I'm saying what's the purpose of existence, just in a very long way. And one thing I'm coming to is it might be so that what exists can uncover value, can exist to generate something out of the ether, I don't know if that even makes sense, but...
Can existence generate something out of the ether?
Well, I mean, assuming there was nothingness and then existence happened, from this being in itself, we can push towards uncovering mysteries, to valuing something more than something else. Here's another one. What do we value usually? We usually value what's hard. We value what's difficult to achieve, right? We think about the people
once you achieve it, we stop valuing it.
No.
We do. We want more.
Right.
What we've achieved.
Yes, we want to continue moving, right? But think of the people that you value. Think of the people that you admire, and the things that they do, or the things that you've achieved. They're going to be difficult things. They're going to be things that you had to push with your willpower against some resistance in order to achieve something. And that process there. Well, I think we instinctively value this, but we also value comfort, which is difficult. I mean, you can relate this back to evolutionary principles, but I want to try and take it further, because we look at the spiritual, we look at the philosophical, we look at the higher ideals, and this doesn't seem to me as entirely relatable to physical existence. But whoa, there you go.
The life that exists now is a balance between comfort and conflict.
Yeah.
The inherent existence of life is chaos. It's the absolute struggle all the time, non-stop. It's basically an eternal war.
Is it really chaos though?
Yes.
But it corresponds to universal rules, though.
Okay, wait, let me finish.
Yeah,
But
sure.
It is chaos because in existence is order, is absolute order. And life, the inherent case of life, the inherent quality of life is absolute chaos, absolute change. Now, wait. The
Change,
life,
yes.
wait. You might not notice it nowadays because the life that exists nowadays is more balanced, out of evolution. The life that pursued absolute war, absolute conflict, absolute change ceased to exist because it's self-destructive. The life that exists now is the life that shows a more balanced existence
Right.
between comfort and conflict.
So
something in the middle.
we generate order.
To a certain extent, something between the absolute state of life and the absolute state of unlife. Something in between, a balance between the two.
Well, that's fascinating.
That's the life that exists nowadays
Yeah.
because that's the life that had enough balance to exist,
Okay,
to keep
no,
existing.
I get that.
And thus that balance of to keep existing, it keeps spreading, is the value in life for me.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
I understand. But to take an idea from that, move it further, is the idea that humans, by virtue of their existence, generate order. Like we want to.
Some order and some chaos. It's in the middle between order and chaos. It's not absolute order. As I said,
No, it's not absolute order. No, it's
is
not.
unlife.
No, I agree with you. It's on the border between the two that things manifest. Fascinating.
It's a very interesting question to think about.
What's the topic?
Sorry?
What's the topic?
What's the topic? Life. The purpose of life, the value of life.
So I'm going to finish my bit there, but if other people want to jump in, I'll stay and talk. But good combo anyway, man.
Very good, man. Very good.
Yeah.
One of the best combos here, man.
It was alright, but like I said, more people will jump in and maybe we'll change the topic a bit, but that's where I'm at in my thought. Like, I'm there. I'm at that point, so I don't know what goes further. I need to work on those ideas and read some more.
I understand you.
Yeah, that's it. Alright, good
What
combo.
is meant by existence of life to you?
The existence. What?
What is meant by the existence of life, the purpose of life in this world?
Okay, the purpose
To
of
you.
life, to me, okay, the purpose of life is to grow or die. That's the purpose I give to life. It's the most basic purpose. I spoke about this with Will, I spoke about this with many people here. That's the main purpose for me. What is it for you?
To me, life is like a mix. It's like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're
Oh
gonna get.
no! I hate that quote! It's from Forrest Gump. I hate that quote.
You never know what you're
Jeez.
gonna get, right? It's like ups and downs, right?
Oh, but the box of chocolate only has ups. It only has chocolate, man. It's just different chocolates. It's only good. Life can't be a box of chocolate.
Life is unpredictable.
Yeah, but the box of
Unpredictable.
chocolate isn't.
It's like
You just got
unpredictable.
chocolates in there.
It's like a phrase, but the point which I want to convey, I want to make it that it's like sometimes up, sometimes down.
Of course,
right?
of course.
This
And
mix-up on YouTube where
it's like
somebody
before, like if you go back
to be arguing
100 decades back and 200
That was
decades
fucking disturbing,
used to
man.
live such a great
Well, it
life
was good though.
rather than today.
Yeah. It was like I'm
What's
arguing about whether
the
this
biggest
book was any good.
cause
And
that
he's
is
saying, well, it's fucking
eliminated
terrible.
the happiness at this era?
You think previously
21st
people lived
century.
more happy than now?
Yeah, that's my.
Why do you make that conclusion?
The reason is that people did not have that much issues rather than today. If, for example, if I'm today a young guy, I probably look forward to seeing a great future. Then I probably choose another life, like to get married. Their priorities are. People are prioritizing the things this time. Before that, people were not that much educated, right? But they were having.
So ignorance is bliss.
They were having a fabulous life, tensions less, and a lot of problems they didn't have that before.
So ignorance is bliss. To a certain extent it is.
Yeah. That's,
See, intelligent people probably will never be happy because they will always see things to be unhappy about. They always think up those things. So that's I agree about that. But my point is that superficial happiness the main point of your existence and of any existence for that matter?
Yeah, makes sense.
Superficial happiness, immediate happiness, the ignorant happiness.
Yeah, you probably get something like people think that brings happiness. Money brings happiness. Yeah, everyone is looking for happiness this time. Everyone is seeking. You and I are seeking for happiness. But point is, after achieving the things, after accomplishing the goal even, we haven't become that much happy that we were expecting, isn't it? For example, I wanna do 10 rounds of this, park, and today I'm gonna do that. After going to do that, I became a little happy. Not that much that what I'm gonna do that. This, and uploading my pictures. WhatsApp, social media, I have accomplished
For the likes.
the greatest thing, for the likes, right? I'm taking you slightly to social media life, the technological side as well. So don't you think that social media has more effects on our life as comparatively before, like ever before?
Well, obviously, before social media didn't exist. But look, social media is a very superficial kind of happiness. It's the ultimate immediate dopamine. You get likes, you're happy. You don't get likes, you're sad.
It's like a spontaneous dopamine drops. And
Yeah,
you think,
exactly.
oh, I got 500 likes today.
Happy. Great. People are appreciating my existence. They think I'm good. They think I'm something worth existing because of the likes. Now, that's the thing that most people think about when they see those likes.
Another point. People are not actually living their own life. They are looking over the fence.
Yes.
What's going on over the fence? They don't know what is actually they have, right? They spend so much time over the looking fence that what's going on over there.
Yes.
But basically, they don't know about their potential. They are living a life. Like, I want to share my personal thoughts that that's the issue of depression and anxiety at this time is the same thing that we spend so much time looking people that what kind of life they have, and we try to be like them. We try to be like them. That's the point that the existence we haven't acknowledged the existence of our life.
Yes.
Right? So we spend so much time, even though if God is giving you $500 a week, then lives with $500 a week. But people, what they think that I have seen, what they think that the man who is getting $500 a week, he's not content with what he is earning. He wants to earn the $1,500 a week, the man who is earning from somewhere else. So $500, live with it, be happy with that. But the $1,500, the man who is earning, he probably also not happy with it. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
right?
You probably.
That's.
But what's your point about it?
My point is very clear that whatever we have, we need to
Should be happy with it.
We should be happy.
I don't agree. I don't agree.
Now let's make the point.
Because the struggle for life is a struggle for evolution. You should always seek something more than what you have. You should always evolve into something better. And thus, if you have 500 pounds, why should you stop there? I mean, if you see money as your ultimate goal, I don't agree with that. I don't see money as an ultimate goal.
I'm not saying that money is the ultimate goal.
No, I'm not saying you're
I'm
saying.
saying you the
But-
limits.
Yeah, but if a person, for example, sees the money as an ultimate goal and wants to earn more, I don't agree with that. However, if a person wants to earn more money than what they have, to achieve something else, to use that money for something else, for an ambition, for a dream, for something like that, I completely agree with that. There's absolutely no problem with
That's
it.
fine. That's fine.
Earning money for the sake of money is stupid. Earning money for the sake of a dream or an ambition,
Happiness for the sake of happiness, for the
very
sake
important.
of your
It's very important.
goals, your desire, your dreams, what you have that. But the point was, the man who is getting 500 pounds a week, he probably might have some, strategies, right? Plans. How can, for example, I can live with 10 pounds a day. You probably cannot. Your priorities are different.
depends on the country I'm living in.
Right. It doesn't depend on the country. It depends on your priorities. What
depend on
kind
the
of
country.
priorities? And
In
you
some
probably-
countries, you can survive on 10 pounds a week.
Right. Even
Because the pounds are,
right.
have a different
A
value.
man who is earning 5,000 pounds a week, he can't be content with it because he goes to Harrods to buy something. He goes to 5-star hotels to live there. So he's earning from the one side and he is wasting and he is spending on the other side. Right?
So,
That's the point. But that's following your point is that you just said that if a man who is earning 500 pounds a week, if he has goals to be successful, to be succeeded in his life, then probably we should go with his will.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, if he really makes up his mind to only earn those 500 pounds, I don't really see that much of a big difference. But I wouldn't do it.
The point of the existence in our life, as you earlier said, that the evolution, right? Evolution. Evolution is a huge difference. Evolution comes with a gradual time.
It's a change for better.
Yeah, with the passage of time comes evolution. So, what do you think that if a person who is looking for happiness and the spiritual life, like something that he wants to be happy, so how can he get the evolution into his life?
How can somebody who's seeking a spiritual life evolve in that belief, in that spiritual life? Right.
How do you manage this? It's free to do anything you want.
Well, to begin with, you
need to define what is spiritual first.
Well, yeah, to begin with, yeah, that's a good point. But I would even say you need to know different ways of living a spiritual life. There are many different ways. Well, exactly. It's kind of what he said. It's more or less the same thing. You need to, if you want a spiritual life, it can be a religious life. It can be a purely, spiritual without any religion involved.
Any path.
Or you can maybe see it as a philosophical way of life. Seeing.
I think this is one way. I think spiritual means getting in touch with your heart. Doesn't matter what road you take.
Your heart.
It is a connection.
Does the heart think? Does the heart?
Of course.
The heart thinks.
It doesn't think, but it has more intelligence than your brain.
Right.
I can prove that to you.
Right.
In 1 second.
Bro,
All right. Which is the first organ that is created when you were a baby? No, take it as fun, but just follow my logic. It's the heart. Start beating. On the 13 weeks,
I don't know
your
if it's
brain.
the heart. I'll take you up on that. I'll take you up on that.
It's the heart.
Fair enough.
And all the information from the universe, I don't care God, not God, all the information from the universe came first through your heart, and your heart has created the brain and other organs.
Fair enough.
So definitely there is more intelligence in, and if you follow all this Indian tradition of yogi and stuff, the point is shutting, quieting the mind so you can listen to it.
Okay. You could call the heart more important than the brain, but I don't think you can
It's
link.
not about important. It's not about comparing.
No, it is.
It's not about comparing, but it's the
about
first.
comparing.
I'm saying spiritual.
Just because it's the
you
first
can't
doesn't mean
use
it's the
your
most
heart to
intelligent.
build the plane. You cannot.
Yes. Look, just because it's the first organ doesn't mean it's the most intelligent.
No.
That's what you said.
What I'm saying is the first organ, and all the information that comes from the universe, it came to your heart before your brain was existing at all.
Sure.
but it comes.
The first organ.
What you want to say that before? What you want to say that?
Okay. I want to say that you can't link intelligence to the heart.
I study biotechnology.
It doesn't matter what you study. Just check it now. The first organ who beats is the heart.
Anyway, I don't think you can. I don't think you
In
can
my
ever.
outlook-
You can link intelligence to the heart.
In my outlook, the difference between the spirituality between your heart and your mind is the connection of your directly the connection of your God, right?
What?
God,
my God.
the spirituality,
Which
right?
God?
The connection.
Yeah, which God?
Right. For example, if you do good,
No, it's good to define
What
which
is
God
good?
because
Who
we're talking
defines
about
good?
very vast things.
for example, if you wanna live a spiritual life in a spiritual way of life,
You can be very spiritual without believing in God.
because you are internally
God is a stepping stone. We're just using it.
you are internally
tool.
content with
It's
your
a
society.
soul,
It was always true.
with your soul. You are internally connected with your soul, right?
Yeah, but that's what you said because you assume the existence of a soul. What is a soul?
Soul, you can say, for me, no one knows, but it's the life. So if we define life as soul, it means even plants, they have soul. Any living organ.
Interesting.
Right?
It's an interesting
It's not
definition.
science, we're not
I would
talking
define
science.
So
soul.
life is not. You are nothing.
I wouldn't call
right?
life a soul. It's an interesting definition, but I wouldn't agree. For me, will is soul. My will, as a person who has the choice to choose, the ability to choose, is my soul. The will, the ambition, the dream that I pursue, that is my soul. The accumulation of experiences through my life, plus my inherent qualities, plus my choice in the face of the link between those two, that is my soul for me.
It's not absolute, you know? Like,
Not absolute. What do you mean by that?
I mean, it's not objective. Like it's influenced by all the context. Of
course.
This is why I'm calling it. This is why I'm calling it live. Because if the soul is pure, because what he's saying, it
I never
gets-
said it's pure. It doesn't have to be pure. It's just the soul, the will, the
Do you think
choice.
plants have soul in them? What they have life?
They have soul. They have soul. Plant has life,
That's what I'm saying.
right? They have life. Earth has life.
That's what I'm saying.
Everything-
Every
creation,
living
every
organ
creation.
have this life inside it.
All
That's
right.
what we call soul.
All right, then let me ask you something. If you think the plant has life, does the planet go to heaven or to hell?
There is no
Planet.
heaven and hell.
The plant, the plant.
The future of the planet. Look, listen.
Sorry, but you've gone too
It's
far.
specifically
Heaven
for
and
him.
hell.
Wait.
Do you believe in that
Humans
shit?
go,
No.
according to religion, humans go either to heaven or to hell.
What religion?
According to
The planet-
religion. Calm
Look,
down,
look.
man. Let
The
me ask you
future
a
of
question.
the future of the planet.
Of the plant. The plant.
The future of the planet.
Of the plant.
I don't know about it.
Not the planet, plant.
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 Yes, the tree.
Yeah, tree.
If the tree has a soul, where does it go when the tree dies? To heaven or to hell?
I don't know about it.
Hey, what religion
Well,
are you
it has to
talking
go
about?
somewhere.
What religion are you talking about in here?
Well, he's a Muslim, if I'm not mistaken.
Look. If it
I'm not
dies,
religious.
if it dies, because we are the finest creation of God. Before that, if you look at the human history, before the monkey was there,
I think
right?
we are the worst.
It's like a monkey was there, and then with the passage of time, we have become human, right?
Yeah.
And we are the finest creation. Like we are the purest and finest creation of God.
Why
Right?
purest?
Like if you
What's so pure about this?
like we
Without sin.
the human,
Without
right?
sin. Humans are the ones with the biggest potential for sin, whatever you call sin.
If imagine if there is no human, how would be the condition of this planet?
If there is no human, the planet will be heaven, will be perfect place. The nature adjusts itself. Yeah.
The nature is in a constant state of self-destruction.
The nature.
Yes, the nature.
Oh,
Nature self-destructs itself. Whatever being can't compete in nature stops existing. It's as simple as it is. I'll give you an example, very good example. The marsupials. Marsupials were the first mammals. They were the mammals that were they would grow inside of a purse. The other kind of mammals are the placentary mammals, which is us: dogs, cats, lions, blah blah blah. Placentary, placenta inside of the belly of the mother. Marsupials are like kangaroos, for example,
I got you.
inside of the purse. In the long ago, almost all of the mammals around Earth were marsupials, but they couldn't breed fast enough. They weren't as competitive as placentary mammals, and thus they were bred out of existence in every single corner of Earth, except in some islands, like Madagascar, Australia, and a few more islands. That's why marsupials only exist in those places. It's the main reason. Nature kills itself very often.
Now I want to make another most essential point. You probably see that.
Go ahead.
I don't know how many of you believe in religion or not. I don't know about you and you, right? Okay. For me, I just want to ask you one question: that how were you brought into this world? Number one point.
How?
Yeah. How were you brought into this world?
How do you get first place?
Yeah.
Oh, now my dad and mom had sex.
When you were born.
No, you mean the
Okay,
first?
Good point.
Okay, if they together had sex, right?
Yeah.
If they had together sex, but what with the first one, just a piece of his sperm,
Yeah.
right? It came into the womb in our mother, right?
Yeah.
And in 9 months, who looked after us? Just tell
9
me.
months.
Who looked
Inside
after
the-
us?
Well, the
9
mother
months.
provided us with the nutrients we needed to survive.
What are you
Who
trying
looked
to
after
say?
us?
Go straight to the point. What are you trying
Just
to say?
straight the point is that we were created through the piece of his sperm.
I'm not saying that you created myself.
Piece of
but
sperm
doesn't make
and
me religious.
mother cell. Just
you
the
are not
sperm doesn't
understanding
give
my
it.
point, right?
It's
We
the
are
two of them
created.
together.
We are created through whatever you are.
The joining between the two.
But tell me how we were looked after into the womb our mother. Just tell me this.
How
What
well
do
we
you mean? What do you mean? Like, look
You
after-
wanna
Sorry,
say
could
by
you-
Who
God?
looked after us in 9 months in the womb of mother, right?
mother.
And then we were brought out of the mother.
I don't
right?
understand the question. sir.
Yeah. We were out of the mother, and who was behind that? The feed in your mother's milk.
Can
right?
I? If you're trying to say that's God or the Creator,
I'm taking you that side.
That's
why
fine, but how do you know and I don't?
I'm asking you. This is the thing that you as I said earlier, that I don't know how many of you believe in religion or.
I don't believe in anything, mate. I believe in anything. I know there is creator. I know. I don't believe.
Oh my! So why you don't believe if you know that?
I know. Why should I believe?
What do you know?
The fuck
What do you know?
is
What do you
it?
know? Sorry.
Okay, what you know? What you know?
I'm telling you, I know. You ask me to believe.
What do you know? What do you
I'm
know?
not asking
I know
you to
there is a
believe.
creator.
I'm not asking you to
Yeah.
believe.
God.
Yeah, I call him. I don't know what you call
that was
him.
my
God,
point which I want to
call
make
him
it.
God,
That
call
was
him-
my point.
Just
Explain.
second.
what
just
is that
second. Let me say at least what I want to say.
Yeah.
I believe this creation didn't came from nothing. I'm not stupid enough to believe it comes from some nothing.
Okay, go ahead.
So that's my belief, but to jump to conclusion and to say all these prophets that are from God is all bullshit.
Oh no!
I make very there is a
So
very
you believe in a God, but it's not a specific
any
God
creator.
by
I don't
religion.
like this damn God because
It's not a specific religious God, right?
of course
I like that opinion. It's a good opinion.
of course.
What was your point there when I asked the same question? Now I'm going to ask you the same question. When we were in the womb of our mother, who was
Looking after us.
looking after that, and who was there who feed in our mother's
Laws
breast
of nature.
milk?
Who is it that did what with the breasts?
Laws of
In the
nature.
breast of milk, right?
Laws of nature.
Put in the
Who
milk in
created
our
laws
mother.
of nature? The
hormones.
creator, we know that.
The hormones of the mother make milk secrete from her breasts, and
But
thus you
you
drink
are
the milk.
explaining the process.
Yeah, the process, the scientific
the process.
process.
We all know. We can open the scientific.
that's what he's
book.
asking.
No,
If
no,
he wants to know more,
he's
I'll
trying to
explain
tell
more.
you. He's trying to tell you.
science
know.
research a lot.
God, I know.
Science,
But let me finish with
science is
that.
still keeping researching that, and
Of
they haven't
course.
found the formula
There
that
is a
the
big
milk
difference
which
between science and religion.
the,
mate.
look, they haven't found the formula. The
They
milk
will,
which is in
maybe.
the womb of our mother, the breast in our mother, that breast in our mother, the milk, they haven't found the formula that it's a finest.
What do you mean they haven't found the
Being
formula?
unaware of something doesn't mean
What
that.
is the breast
I know
the
you
philosopher's
playing
stone
around,
of
I'm
our
not
days?
serious about that.
They have found the formula, man. It's
They haven't
hormones.
found the formula.
Hormones secreted in the brain of the mother make a release of
Even
milk.
you as a
Whatever
man,
is
you can
unknown.
take some hormones and deliver.
Yeah, man. We can clone creatures. You think we can't figure out the breast of the milk?
But whatever is unknown.
No,
like,
no,
it's not
just go to the
necessarily
point, don't
like
try-
something spiritual. There are so many things that we can't understand, but it doesn't mean that they're, automatically, spiritual things. They're just things that we don't know.
What you
Why
saying?
very quickly, man?
Like,
what is
yeah, all the
what is
things
the
that
purpose
we
of our
don't know.
existence in this
All the
world?
things
your
that
existence.
are unknown.
God of
Before you were
Yeah.
debating on
It's
that
not a fact that
point,
we-
That
right?
always
If
has
we
been
go
when
back,
you don't know, when you know
very,
all science.
very important point is that how were we brought into this world?
How were we brought into this
A
world?
miracle is something scientific that we don't know yet.
By the union between the
Because
genes
if
of
you
your
take
mother
this
and your
phone
father.
1,000 years ago,
If you want to go back in time,
Not even
you will
1,000 years
see
ago. If you take
a
this phone and
long
show it to
and
Isaac
grueling
Newton,
process
he'll
of
think it can
evolution
turn lead into
of living
gold.
beings that
I mean,
eventually
what-
led to your
light-
son
light
and to your father and
without
your mother.
fire?
And if you want to go even more back in
that's
time,
witchcraft.
you will see
Exactly. And witchcraft
an
was
existence.
used as science.
You will see that matter, like non-living matter,
No, the
all
thing
around
is
the
to
universe.
jump
And eventually,
always to- it's
when
gold
lightning
because you don't know.
struck
Say I don't
that
know,
in
it's better.
existence, the first being was
It's a
created
very ignorant
by the
statement,
union between
because
that lightning
you go back to the
and
19th
between
century,
an
there's a
existence.
theory of
And we
life
can
called
create
vitalism.
life with lightning.
Vitalism.
Create
Something
an
is
existence
alive because
out of a
it had
cell
unique
that
life
wasn't
force
alive.
to it, and no chemistry
That's why
can
we use,
create it. Until I can't remember
electricity
his
to
name, German
revive
scientist
people who
created
died,
nuclear
clinically
reactor
were dead.
using
We can
chemical
revive
compounds.
them.
So suddenly this
That is a spirit thing that we that's the last stage that we give them last power, and it is up to their luck that either they are going to be back or they will be gone, right? Then we give the electricity to them, right?
And the
Right?
reason we
That's
can't
something else.
recreate a formula
But
for breast milk is
quite.
that number one, it's individual
Clinically, the
to
body is dead.
genes.
It's
There's
not alive.
containing
If you don't
living
electrocute it,
organisms
it
like antibodies
won't
and
just
stuff
jump
that are
back into
So
life,
you're
you know?
not- so unless you take
So
up blood
even
from
though we
the
can't
mother
just
and feed it,
put
the
some
production
lightning
mechanism to
on
produce
non-living matter and make a human out of it.
You believe
At least
in
not yet.
You believe in God,
I
yeah?
think that's a
You believe in
stupid
God,
example.
yeah?
I
Just
will
like you
God.
trying
I
to
want
make
God
me
to
wonder.
exist, but I can't
You
bring myself to
create
believe.
this,
But
then
as
you
you
tell me
said,
because God, I don't
to
like
me,
that.
soul is
It's not
a
even
will.
good to go inside that
will.
kind of
To me,
argument.
soul is a will. You said
The will
that.
of-
I don't
Yeah,
have a
to
problem
me,
with
yes.
anybody who
To
just
you,
like,
soul is a will. If a born
listen
baby,
to what
if a
he's
toddler
saying.
born baby comes into this world and just later half an hour he gets died,
hey,
for him, what would be the soul?
He doesn't have a will
What
yet.
is it?
All he has, yeah, it's
is
true.
it?
It's true.
What is it?
But look, that's why I don't see soul as something spiritual. I see soul as something very material, actually. It's, again, the soul for me, the will of a human, is, first of all, the genetic qualities, the genetic makeup passed to you by your parents, which is your inherent qualities, plus the environment you live in, with the experiences in life, with your senses, you perceive that
The
environment.
food you eat, everything.
And those two things make the conclusion you make from the union of those two. That conclusion is your soul. That conclusion is your will. It's your purpose to live. You know what I mean? For me, that's your soul.
That's your soul.
You build up your soul
What is
as you
meant by
live.
your soul?
My soul.
Yeah. To you.
To define
Life.
it. I can say what he said. It's life. If you think that there is soul in plants and trees, so yeah, I accept this kind of soul. It's life. And when you kill it, when you cut it from the ground, it dies. Okay, this is soul
And you
for me.
also
I'm
believe
fine.
in the creator, right?
Of course.
Right? You say that there is a creator.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But what is the thing that is taking you away from the creator?
Who tell you I'm away from you? Why are you
Away from
you
your
conclude
creator,
that
away
I'm
from the
away
creator you envision,
You are
not away
just
from the
saying that.
creator he envisions.
Yeah.
Like,
From the
What is the
creator.
soul to you?
just a second, how could you assume that I'm away from him?
You just say that I believe in the creator.
Yeah. I don't believe, I know, I said. You still believe
Again,
in.
away from your creator,
Yeah.
not from his idea of the creator.
For you, the creator is like a planet, right?
Me?
Right.
Who said so?
Who
I
created
don't
the
know.
planet? Who created the
I
planet?
don't know. I'm not even sure. I have a feeling about it. So when you see to this, like all this magic, the world we are living, you feel that we came from something, not from nothing. It's a feeling, but it doesn't make it true or absolutely true. Or I cannot prove it. But for me, it's a reality.
So
for
life-
another
life-
guy, it could be something
Life is
else.
also a reality to you, right?
Yeah.
Living in this world is also the reality to you that
Yeah.
after, if I am gonna die,
Yeah.
so there is another gonna be a world, right?
That's bullshit. We don't know. How do you know? How do you know? Just a simple question. How do you know?
Because I don't know about, as people say that,
If you don't know something, you just say, I don't know. Why you jump to other conclusion about...
as people say that,
Sorry about that, man.
we are here in this world to be happy, right?
Who said so? To be happy.
It's a conclusion
Happiness
you
is
can make. It's
creation
a
of
reasonable
our mind.
conclusion, but it's not the only one.
Right. But you can't find complete peace and happiness in this world. That's
You
my
can,
belief.
you can.
That's my belief.
I don't think you can find
That's
complete,
yeah.
my
but
belief.
you can come
you
close.
That's
you
not to
cannot find
discuss
complete
belief.
peace and happiness
You can
no
come
matter
close
what
to
you
it.
have in your life, no matter what kind of luxurious life you have, you cannot find.
Fine.
Even the queen cannot
But
find
why
complete
do you
peace
look
and
for
happiness.
happiness? Why? At the end of the day, why do you look for happiness? Just be joyful and that's it.
How can, and how long do we have to be joyful?
Joyfulness is that happiness.
Oh, you can then. Just like don't let your
Just
don't let
tell
your mind to jump too much into future and imagination. Stop remembering the past and you'll be joyful.
But the past is you.
There are many,
Huh?
You are the past.
I'm not saying it's not me, but if something happened on the past and it's bad, it's very stupid to keep remembering.
Well, yeah. You don't have to,
There is
focus
some
on a
in-
specific thing that's bad. You don't have to do it.
Yeah.
But you have to at least know it. I think
I mean,
that's
you said how to be joyful. To be
Yeah.
joyful is just you live now. I'm you talking like as long as
keep
nobody's
moving on.
insulting me.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
joyful, but I don't need to smile and show you my smile. I'm joyful in my heart. I'm
I
joyful.
know what you
think
mean,
the
man. I know
concept that life
You have a
must be,
good.
like,
You make some good points.
positive
Yeah,
and
I agree with
beautiful.
some things
It's
you
very,
say.
like,
I don't think
human-made,
life itself
you know?
is.
human made.
But I do
You know,
agree
like,
that
it's-
there is some
I
truth.
think that in nature, like
Life is the
outside,
beginning of
our
the
Greeks
society,
didn't put a lot of value on happiness to
life
begin with. I
is
mean,
Yeah.
their
inherently
virtues were like
full of
patience,
pain,
justice, mercy, things like that.
Yeah.
Happiness was not something.
Self-discipline for them was the main
Absolutely.
thing.
Yeah.
To me, now I'm gonna make a quite considerable point. To me, this world is one of the richest place, right?
The richest places.
Richard, completely, because as I said earlier, you cannot find complete peace and happiness no matter what you have, no matter what kind of life you are living, you cannot find. We are here just for temporary. It's just like a station.
We all know that.
Okay.
We all know that we're gonna
Let
die.
me finish. I have a question, but I'll let you
You are
finish.
not gonna live here forever,
Yeah.
right?
We know that. So
What does
moving
it mean?
on.
What does it mean?
All right. Will you achieve that peace after you die?
That's hope.
Inshallah.
But
There
eternal
will be the
and
day of judgment, right?
Yes.
Huh?
But
There won't
that
be a day of
eternal,
judgment.
why would you
I don't
strive
know,
for...
but-
No, wait. My
That's
question...
why I'm
This
making
question
you
is
aware.
very relevant for
That's
the
why I'm making you aware.
conversation. Guys, I think this question will shift the whole conversation.
I don't know. It's,
Why would you strive for the absolute peace? The absolute
saying
peace
that?
and absolute lack of any conflict, any strife in your life, it's death. It's inexistence. That's the only way you can achieve peace, to erase yourself completely. That's the only absolute peace that there is. Why would you ever want that? Why would you ever want to be that way?
A person who is looking for a life that he wanna be like that, but he is internally is greedy.
Okay.
He has a lot of interest that I'm gonna be like that. So by the remembrance of death, that greediness can be gone. That greediness can be gone.
Okay, but if
Right?
all the bad...
By the
as a
remembrance
tool,
of
like,
that.
you use it as a tool to purify
You have to
yourself.
use it.
That's good. Why not?
But listen, man, if you imagine a blank sheet, that blank sheet is all of your great qualities that you deem as great. Now imagine you make some lines on it with a black pencil. That blank sheet, that pale sheet, is all that's good, and those lines of the pencil is all that's bad in you. You make a drawing of yourself. That is yourself, good things and bad things. If you erase all the bad things in yourself and only the good things remain, what remains on the sheet? It's just a blank sheet. It's nothing. You erase your existence by erasing everything that's bad about
This
it.
is how this is what I think about that. It's like, because our experience is memory. When you erase the memory, there is nothing.
You cease to exist.
We cease to exist.
It's a possibility. That's why I don't
No, this is
seek
why-
eternal peace. I never seek it. I'm afraid of it, in fact. And I think all living beings are inherently afraid of the eternal peace that is in existence.
And to add to that, why would you seek eternal peace when there is nothing happening around you to begin with? The whole point of eternal peace is silence and solace in the case of adversity and trouble.
Exactly.
When there is no adversity or trouble, can it be called peace?
Exactly.
You're just
Duality.
mechanically
It's just
responding to
duality.
the stimulus.
Because this life is created by duality, good and bad, the opposites. So when you are above this duality,
There is nothing that doesn't have opposite thing, right?
So
Men
what's-
and female.
So what is the negative
Everything is-
about dying and being in heaven? What's the negative there? And no, male and female, that's not an argument, by the way. I can tell you why there is male and female. It has nothing to do with duality.
First, I would be very much happy if you explain that
yeah,
why there is
please,
male
me
and
as
female.
well. I
being
want to listen
secondly
about
the
this.
Do you
male.
really want to?
Go on.
You really want to understand where that comes from?
Yeah.
Go
All
on.
right. The
Go on.
reason we have gender, the reason we have essentially sexual selection is to introduce a variable in reproduction so that the offspring does not resemble the parent.
Where they come from?
And that makes patience. Bear with me. Yes, I'll tell you where it came from. I can walk you through the entire process. The problem with and the main reason for that is to ensure that the offspring is unlike the parent, ensuring that there's variety and divergence in the offspring. That's the reason we have male and female. Now, where did this process come from? That process actually started, we measure it at about 200 billion years ago, when suddenly you have clumps of multicellular organisms. So we can actually trace from single to multicell, and multicells starting to specialize. Once there is the specialization, there were two types of productions. First, there was asexual production using meiosis and
Just one
mitosis,
cell
and we still have fish that reproduce asexually.
Yes.
And funny enough, these fish you see hundreds.
Is it? It
of-
does exist.
Yeah, they exist. There are
There
asexual
are creatures
reproducing
that
fish.
can reproduce without
Without
sex.
sex.
But
How
the
they
interesting
do
thing is, once
Sex
there is
production.
sexual reproduction that is
Asexual.
specialized
I need to
organisms
look at
that
that. I
reproduce
never-
using sexual means,
are many
the
ways of
stability
means to
increases over time. So the gendered creatures don't change or diverge drastically from when they start. The changes occur much more slowly. Whereas
Cells,
changes
basically,
from
without having
asexual
sex.
creatures, the changes are completely erratic and random, and they don't need to mate with each other, so the change becomes
Asexual reproduction.
all over the place.
Come on, 200 billion.
200 billion, at least.
You have gone to 200 billion.
Yeah.
Are you sure that there was existence of the human?
No, there were no humans.
It doesn't matter the number.
never said
There were no
humans.
humans. I didn't say that there were humans at the time.
But you talk about the human or like
The predecessor.
No,
of
I'm talking
humans.
about the origins of sexual reproduction. There are more than just humans. Flies reproduce sexually.
Living organs.
sexual interest in everywhere you can find out, even
No.
in animal.
No.
You have to find out.
Not
sexual
all of them. Not all of them. There are animals that reproduce asexually. There's fungi. There's plants. So no, there are lots of creatures that don't reproduce sexually. That's one variety of reproduction in the animal kingdom.
I don't think so, because
You don't think so?
animals have these feelings.
Animals are one species on the planet. We also have plants, fungi, insects,
They can be
prokaryotes, eukaryotes. There's a whole range of species that you're discounting. If you're talking about animals,
If they don't have sexual feelings, so how they are producing their children? Go on.
They're killed.
no, those are you're working backwards now. And I'll tell you, no, it's tell me what came first, the feelings or the sexual reproduction. Which comes first?
When it gets old, it
Feelings
reverts
comes first.
into
No,
its younger
biology
state and starts getting
moves your
old again.
feelings, not the other way around. You don't develop sexual reproduction just because you feel attracted to another human being. You have to have the biology that enables those emotions. It's biology that dictates your emotions, not the other way around.
There are no beings absolutely.
It's your call. You don't want to take my word for it. You can do your own research.
That was your point. I don't say that I disagree or agree with you.
Okay.
That's your point. That you studied on it. I haven't studied on this one.
Okay.
I studied on that there used to be a time when the people used to have 1,000 years of life.
That's
800
only
years
in the
of
holy
life.
books. I'm telling you, that's in the Quran because that's in the Quran.
So did you study Quran?
Of
completely?
course, maybe better than you.
Completely.
It's not about the Quran. It's
With the
about
translations.
No, I didn't need translation. I speak Arabic. That's my first language.
Where you come from?
Do you speak Arabic?
No, where you come from?
Do you speak Arabic?
No, I don't.
How do you understand Quran? How do you understand Quran?
There are
Thank you for your time.
196. No problem.
Say yes. How do you
196
understand this Quran?
196 countries in the world, and each country has translated translation of the Quran. The basic language of the Quran is Arabic, right? Which comes from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, right? And you see Old Testament, New Testament, Bible, go back to their other religion like. So this is the Quran which Allah Subhanahu wa Taala has taken its own responsibility to protect it, right? Nobody can change even the one word of the Quran. Nobody in this planet. Bible came into this world, right? They changed it. Christians changed them. In the Old Testament.
These guys, they belong to what?
I don't know, he comes from Ukraine. Where you are from?
Algeria.
Algeria. Muslim, yeah? Are you
Yeah,
Muslim?
born. In a way, maybe.
Are you Muslim, yeah?
In a way, I don't know how to say Muslim, but I don't practice like these people. I don't follow what these people are
Your
saying.
background.
Yeah.
Your background is a Muslim, yeah? Originally, I am a Muslim, and Alhamdulillah, that's my belief that after living in this world, we will have a day of judgment where Allah
I know all the Muslim believe, man. Let's go over there and talk to you. Listen to what they are saying. What's interesting about this? Oh, God.
From your
Man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to
Victim
ITV.
of the political system. If you lived in England as opposed to the United States, for example, where I can carry weapons and have the First Amendment, or if I lived in Namibia, where I probably have weapons and no free speech, I'm guessing, right? You can have a different political system that gives you as an individual your freedoms to run around and use your Oyster card, go shopping, make a way,